next speaker was the original founder of Inbound Norway. She's responsible for coordinating Taberglay's marketing, sales, and group level. She's also flown all the way from Oslo in Norway. Please put your hands together for our Chief Revenue Officer, Barbro.
You're wondering why I don't have my shoes on. It's because it was so slippery, so I took them off. So thank God I had a pedicure before I came here. Otherwise this would be really awkward. Just a short notice from this morning. We came from Norway yesterday, so it was slightly, I wouldn't say jet lag, but that 1 hour, suddenly I'm a morning person, woke up really early, sat outside, 6:30 this morning, and suddenly a person walks by. I'm like, nudging my husband, I'm like, it's Kyle Jepson! It's Professor Kyle! He's like, let's say hello to him. I'm like, no, I can't do that. Especially, no one wants a complete stranger to jump up to you at 6:30 in the morning when you're probably jet lag as well. So hello, Kyle. I've probably seen more hours of video of you than I did of Leonardo DiCaprio in my teens. So I feel like I know you very well. All right. That was a lot of chit-chat about nothing. We're going to talk about Smarketing for business growth, or IAM. And just a brief story of myself. Back in 2013, I left my job as a news reporter and I started working at a marketing agency doing the internal marketing for that agency. In 2013, we started using HubSpot, and I quickly realized that this is the best tool I've ever used. So me and another guy figured out we need to help other businesses get their hands on this tool as well. So that was my main driver when I left my secure job and started a business way back. And I haven't looked back since. I think this is important. That was my driver at the time, and I will get back to you and explain to you why that's an important part. That was the... Yes. Sales and marketing are always fighting. A few years back, quite a few years back, I wrote an article that we published on our website where I was discussing this fact that sales and marketing aren't aligned and everything that comes with that. I had a professor at a university in Norway calling me out, commenting on this article, saying that I was way off, this was not the truth anymore. So that was quite, it hurt my pride, but still, now in Aberdeen we have close to 1,000 customers, and I think I can say that less than a handful of those can say that they have really nailed sales and marketing alignment. I did a talk about this topic 4 years back. It's not that different now. It's still valid. We still need to align those two, and a lot of the same things apply now. 87% of the terms sales and marketing use to describe each other are negative. So let's do a hand showing here. Who here would identify as a marketer? Like, what about sales? We have a few more marketers than salespeople. Personally, I would say that I've gone from being a marketer to being a salesperson. So, but let's just do a little exercise. Could those of you that are marketers give me a couple of examples of stereotypical things that you would say about salespeople? Give it your best shot. Like I could say that salespeople are lazy. They don't do any of the things they're supposed to do in the CRM system.
They don't give you the information you need.
They don't give you the information you need.
Yes. They expect the world.
They expect the world?
Yeah.
Or promise the world.
Yeah, they promise the world and they expect us to deliver it.
Exactly. Anyone else?
I refuse to use the tools.
Yes?
They refuse to use the collateral.
Yes?
They moan.
Same home? Yeah. What can we say about marketers? Sales? Come on, bring it on. Caroline, say something. Where to begin? So many things.
Maybe if sales is full, now we can complain.
You sold the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Happened to me as well, but that's because I sold something we didn't have. Yeah. Anyone else? All right. The funny thing is that a lot of the things that are said about sales and marketing, they're actually quite similar. We say that both sales and marketing are simple-minded, it could be incompetent, that they're lazy, but that's not the full picture. But let's just dive into some of those stereotypes that we use. So when it comes to sales reps, a lot of people think that sales reps are, in general, a-holes. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that word. I'm in a foreign country. Don't know what's acceptable. That they're money motivated, that they only care about themselves, that they don't listen, don't follow rules, and they're always just waiting for their turn to talk. They want all the accolades and will do whatever it takes to win. That last part is actually true for me, at least. I'm extremely competitive, but the other things, maybe not so much. That's of course not the full truth of people that work in sales. They are motivated by more than money and winning. And if you ask salespeople what they're making money for, most people won't say it's because I love money. Of course, we all love money. It doesn't matter if you're in sales or marketing. But it's usually that they have a goal in mind. It might be that they want to buy a house or that they want to provide for a family. So if you're a successful salesperson and you stay in that occupation despite the grinding month after month and also perhaps a few bad months, and you ask them, why? Why do you do this? It could be that they genuinely want to educate people that there are better choices, better solutions for them out there. That they have some sort of purpose for doing this. And this is why I mentioned the main reason for me leaving my job was that I actually wanted to help other companies to discover a tool such as HubSpot. That's why I left. So it wasn't that I wanted to run off and start my own company in order to make a lot of money. That would have been stupid if I thought that would happen immediately anyways. And another important thing here is that salespeople are at the front lines talking to the customers. We touched upon it in the last one, that you need to go out and interview your customers face to face on a regular basis. Your salespeople are out there all the time talking to your customers. So use them to help inform the marketing that you have. The objections that they meet on a daily basis can guide your own content strategy. But that also means that people actually have to talk together. Then we have the marketers. A lot of people would say that marketers sit around all day doing arts and crafts, writing catchy taglines and copy, designing graphics and fluffy content, just giving each other gold stars, high fives, awesome, you're a superstar, rock star, great job. And just having no interest in the bottom line metrics. This is of course not true. I would say that today marketers are less like Don Draper was back in the day and more like Jonah Hill in Moneyball, if you're familiar with that movie. So meaning closer to data scientists. I would say that marketers today are all about data. And like sales, care deeply about the bottom line of the business. And having the same goals as sales, and that is to drive revenue for the business. So the morale of this is that salespeople can actually use marketers. Marketers are great storytellers and can be used on your sales calls or as an ally. And they also have deep knowledge of all the products or services that you are selling. So salespeople can use marketers to help develop their tracks or to create their presentations. God knows I didn't create this one on my own. So, why should you care? Well, first of all, if you ask people who they trust, different occupations, sales and marketing come out equally bad. 3% say that they trust sales and marketers. Ouch. That hurts. So, why can't we be friends? Well, I think the more relevant question here is why we must be friends. I'm going to show you a few numbers. This is just to build the case that this presentation holds water, all right? 208%, that's a big number. This is the amount of marketing revenue generated after aligning sales and marketing. And it can help you in 3 different ways. That's closing deals, growth, and sales and retention. So let's start with closing deals. When in sync, 67% of companies are better at closing deals. When it comes to growth, tightly aligned sales and marketing can give you 24% faster 3-year revenue growth and a 27% faster 3-year profit growth. And lastly, sales and retention, a 36% higher customer retention rate and a 38% higher win rate. I mean, who doesn't want that? By the way, I forgot to say something in the beginning. But we've had poets, we've had entertainers, we've had professional, motivational speakers. I forgot to tell you that this is what I'm talking about, actually really boring. Kyle, you touched on is that not everything is super exciting, but this is extremely important. And just for me, revisiting this content also reminded me in my job that we need to be better. This is so important for every single business out there. So it might not be super fun, but please bear with me and pay attention, because this can make a huge impact on your business. I heard someone laughing when I said it was boring. I wasn't joking. So that was some of the advantages of aligning your sales and marketing, but there's also a cost of misalignment on this. 79% of marketing leads never convert into sales. That means that the job that the marketers are doing is, to a large degree, wasted. Half of the sales time is wasted, so you're wasting the salespeople's time as well. And 50% of marketing leads are just flat out ignored. Scary thing is that most CMOs don't have a clear process or a program for how to actually fix this. It all adds up to about I can barely say this number, trillion euro. That's the cost of wasted marketing budget and lost sales productivity. But it is 2022. I think I've said that for, like, it was 2019, it was 2020, and something happened in between there, but it's 2022 and the game has changed. But I would argue that it has changed for a lot of years. There are still many companies that need to catch up on this. 60% of the sale is over before a buyer talks to your salesperson. This means that sales and marketing need to be better aligned and leverage technology and software to actually achieve this. You can break this down into 4 steps. So where are your points of friction? What can actually be automated? What can be addressed through shared goals? And what can be addressed through team reorganization, as an example. And we have this this word that HubSpot came up with. It's one word, it's quite funny, Smarketing. I do like it. It rolls quite nicely off the tongue. So, let's look at 5 concrete steps to integrate Smarketing into your own organization. We will start with shared language, and this is extremely important. Shared definitions are important, and you must get everyone in your organization, both sales and marketing, using the same language, and that needs to happen quickly. Too many businesses, they don't have a clear or well-understood definition of what an actual lead is. Is that someone who has downloaded something? Is it someone who's been into your website once? What is it? And this is quite interesting because Avidly is the result of a lot of companies that have merged together, 7 different countries, and even more companies than that. And we recently did a review looking into what is a lead, what's a contact, what's a marketing qualified lead, sales qualified lead, and we have different definitions of all of it. We weren't aligned. That also means that the data that you're collecting isn't correct. You're not comparing apples to apples. If they got X amount in UK, Canada, and they got X amount in Finland, that could be completely different stories. We're not talking about the same thing. So that's why it's so important to make sure that we have the same definition of what this is. And this is also, so when you're not aligned, this becomes like this uncertainty, and that's often when you hear salespeople complaining that the quality of the leads we're getting from marketing is shit. And marketing is saying you're not working these leads quickly enough. That's because you don't have a shared language. You're not agreeing on what we're actually talking about. Parts of it, at least. Move on. Your lead nurturing, that's built on a foundation of lead qualification. And you can qualify leads using a matrix looking something like this. This is a fairly traditional basic qualification matrix. So in the top row here, you have what's a good fit for your clients, and in the bottom row, you have you showing some sort of interest in what you have online. And this is a very good place to start figuring out what leads do we need to nurture, or just flat out avoid. I'm going to skip through this one. The key here is to understand what contacts belong to marketing and what contacts belong to sales. Who's communicating with whom? And if you haven't agreed on that, you can end up in a situation where no one is talking to them. And that's not a place where you want to be. Just as the most horrible example of all, this was years ago, but we had a client who had a form on their website where people could fill it out to be contacted. No one had looked at that at all in that client. So they had 3,000 people who had filled out the form and no one had contacted any of them. Those are potential customers. Then we're back to the whole cost of misalignment. You don't want to end up there. So, example of sales-ready leads. That can be contacts who have downloaded an ebook on LeadGen. It could be a company of a certain size. It could be a contact or a company in a certain region, or someone who has requested a sales demo, something like that, or someone who has the right title. Anyways, you need to agree on what that actually is. And every time that sales say that these leads are bad, you need to understand why. It's not enough to hear that the quality is bad. You need to understand why. Was it the size? Was it the location? Was it the person? Was it that they have no budget? What is it? So ask questions. We'll jump onto integrated software. So one of the biggest obstacles for alignment is the use of disparate systems without sharing data. So marketing and CRM as a good example. But integrating these two will give the whole team a powerful overview of the whole buyer life cycle, meaning that everyone has access to the full picture. So make sure that you choose a system or a software, HubSpot of course, definitely, that supports your alignment on goals, helps you to create a seamless customer experience, and caters to the way that your buyers purchase. And here, you marketers can ask yourself, do you send leads to sales and never hear if they were good? You never hear back from them. Has that ever happened to anyone here? Yes, I see some nodding. Do you end up creating and trying to manage duplicate leads? Do you send leads to sales with the basic contact information without intelligence about what content those leads have interacted with? Just as examples. So, good reasons to actually integrate your different softwares. Plenty of reasons for both the marketing side and the sales side. How's it going? Is everyone awake? Yes? Just checking. Since this is boring and all, it's important to make sure that everyone is paying attention. And now it's getting really boring because we're going to talk about SLAs. So it's not super sexy. Service level agreements. Has anyone heard of that? Or let me say, put it this way, does anyone have one between sales and marketing internally in their organization? Kyle, of course you do. You're in HubSpot. You're like the North Star that we're all following. All right. As a marketer, you need to understand, and sales also, how you can help each other to achieve that goal. And the best way to do that is to create a service level agreement. It will keep both teams accountable and shows how they need to work together. So the SLA is essential in this case. It crystallizes the alignment around your set goals. So, when it comes to sales and marketing, this is a two-way agreement with marketing committing to a certain number of leads to sales and sales committing to contacting those leads within a certain time frame. And the goal here is to provide sales with the exact number of leads that they need in order to hit their target, or the company's target. We're going to jump on to the next one. And now is the time to pay attention, maybe even take a photo if you're not able to remember all of this. Before sales and marketing make any commitments to each other, first the leadership need to dictate the company's revenue goal. From there, sales and marketing can start reverse engineering and determine the number of customers needed to generate that exact revenue. And the complexity of this calculation will vary depending on if you have several product lines, but at its most basic form, we need to determine how many customers sales need to close each month, quarter, year, etc., in order for us to reach the revenue target. So if we're going to calculate what marketing needs to commit to, based on the number of customers needed to close, we also need to understand the average lead to customer close rate, and that way marketing will understand how many leads they need to generate. And now the question becomes, any sort of lead, is that what we're looking for? Well, that defines on, again, how you define a lead today and how you build the calculation. But the key here is to keep the type of lead in the denominator the same as the number of leads needed. So as an example here, we may calculate this MQL to customer rate, in which case we end up with a number of MQLs that we need to generate. Whew, yes? Now, let's calculate the sales side, and the metric that is used here is time. That is time to follow up. How long will it take when we get a new lead before we're going to follow up? And just to start off with a stat here, that will tell you that you should follow up as quickly as possible. Research shows that 35 to 50% of sales will go to the vendor that replies the quickest. This makes sense. Do any of you have you set a time for how quickly are you going to follow up on an incoming lead? I know.
Within a minute?
Within a minute. Very good. I always send leads to Caroline and I'm like, have you contacted this? She's like, yes, booked a meeting already. That's like 5 minutes later. So she's really good at that. Anyways, this is going to depend on the number of reps you have, the length of your sales cycle, the quality of leads that you consider, MQLs to hand off to sales, etc., etc. So I won't give you a full calculation of what the sales team needs to commit to, but you have to take all of these factors into consideration when you are going to do this. But in the end, you want to end up with, we will follow up in X amount of time with leads of this and that quality. That's what you want to end up with. Everyone wrote that down? Yes? Good. So, now that we've calculated all of this, we need to set up some reporting in order to understand how we're actually doing. So this is a marketing SLA. It shows how well marketing is tracking on their agreement to sales. We see that measured in the number of leads, marketing generates over time for a particular month. And if you see this blue one here, so if we are under the orange dot here, it means that we're not generating enough leads. Then the sales don't have enough to do, they're just twiddling their thumbs and we will not reach our goal. If we are over this one, we might have efficiency issues with too many leads and not a focused sales team, and leads worked, the number of leads worked will go down and the lead to customer percentage will go down. So business will be operating most efficiently if we actually follow this orange line here. And this is just an example. It will depend. Let's imagine these are 3 different salespeople. We want to measure how long does it take them to actually follow up on leads. All right, number 4, communication. We want to encourage and facilitate open communication as much as possible, and I will give you a few examples of what that actually could be. So we could have weekly Smarketing manager meetings where team leads get together to ensure shared goals are set and alignment is regularly checked on at a micro level. Who here has Smarketing meetings? Oh, I see a hand. Really good. You can pat yourself on the shoulder. Another example here could be your entire sales and marketing team attending to get on the same page, understanding and getting or giving each other feedback on the leads and so on. But communication isn't just about meetings. We heard that before today. We've all been in meetings that shouldn't have been a meeting. It can also be communicated in other ways. You could record a video, perhaps. We've heard that a lot today. It could also be a newsletter. It could be a report that is being sent out. I use that to shame people who are not filling out all the information in the CRM system that they're supposed to. So it's many ways of doing that. That was a joke. I'm not intentionally trying to shame people. But it's a good way to get people's attention. So lastly, you want to rely on dashboards. You need, at a minimum, you need a shared dashboard for sales and marketing so that you can cover all the different metrics or KPIs that you are following. And you most definitely need a proper sales dashboard in place. You also need a proper marketing dashboard where you can follow all the things that matter to you. And also, of course, different reports where you are tracking the things that we just talked about. So, for instance, in this case, volume of MQLs. Sales by day is another example here, or sales activity report. It's also a good one to see, because in the end, sales is just a numbers game. So we need to understand that we have the right activity level. So, has anything gone wrong for you guys ever? We try a lot of things and that's fine, but when it goes wrong, what do we actually do? How do we react? Rely on data, not emotions. We need to understand and identify where did things actually go wrong and then figure out how can we solve this together. Anyone have a good story where it went really wrong? I think the main point here is that sales and marketing need to understand that in the end, we're all pulling in the same direction. We're on the same team, or in the same boat, as it says in this case. Few key takeaways. Smarketing alignment between sales and marketing around goals and personas. And we have gone through 5 different steps to integrate Smarketing into your organization. So speak the same language, set up an integrated software, implement that sexy service level agreement, maintain open communication, and rely on data. To answer that initial question, yes, we can be friends through Smarketing. It's beautiful. Yes.
Any questions before we move on to the next act? Any questions regarding Smarketing? Here we go.
So you mentioned that a couple of your clients were absolutely nailing it, and I'm assuming there's a sort of sliding scale of alignment. I'm just curious how you measure it. So I appreciate that this is get all of this in place, but if you're looking to align sales and marketing, you kind of see that the needle is moving, then you kind of see that the risk.
Well, I think that a lot of the reports that we were talking about here, so you need a benchmark in order to actually figure out where you are. And then you can measure what's happening as you implement some of these initiatives, such as service level agreements, and you actually agree on how fast are we going to follow up on this and so on. But you need that benchmark to begin with. But with tools like HubSpot, you have every opportunity to get that baseline in place and then start measuring it over time. Yeah, I think that's if that answers your question.
Thank you. Any more questions? No, it's because we've run out of time. Oh, there we go. Oh, good job.
The motivational speaker.
Oh, Luke, you haven't got an hour listening to me.
My question is more about you rather than the kind of the content of which you discussed, because I think something that really inspires me is seeing people go from nowhere to somewhere. So my question to you is, how's your role transitioned from when you first started and probably did everything to being on the stage now and got so far? And how have you managed that from not being maybe in the day-to-day thick of things to then being the vision of the business?
I thought you were going to ask about my nail polish, but no, it was. No, well, as you said, when we started out, and we founded a pretty small company, we grew quite quickly into 30 people, but you still have to do absolutely everything. And then when we moved on, started another company, it was the same thing all over again, doing absolutely everything. But I figured out that sales was sort of so I started out on the marketing side. I produced content, I set up HubSpot marketing for our customers. Then I figured out hey, I'm actually able to sell something. This is going quite well. So I slided more and more over to that, and then I started doing CRM implementations, sales trainings, talks like this, and I was the head of sales, and then I moved into the role of Chief Revenue Officer, which was a brand new role in our company. So it's taken me a good year to sort of figure that role out. What does that mean inside of Avidly? And I think the biggest lesson I've learned over the past year and a half is that if you don't get out of all the details, you're going to go under quite quickly. You're going to hit the wall. So I've learned to not care about every single detail, but remove myself from that in that sense. I was this close to going under because it needs to be too much. You can't be involved in everything, especially as you grow and become a bigger company.
Thank you. Great question, Bill. Mark?
Don't worry about the microphone, Mark.
You sure? Thank you.
Say, imagine a new client coming towards you. Are you feeling more optimistic about Smarketing, depending on whether it's, say, like a sales director or a marketing director that's coming to speak to you? Which do you think is going to, does it matter?
I think if it's a sales director or marketing director who's easier to convince, I would say marketing, definitely. Sales is often confident that we got this. I can sell this, I'll be fine. So it takes more convincing, I would say. But that's just my personal opinion. But you need to have some good stats and show them how this could actually work, and that the leads you're getting can be better and be what you're actually looking for, and that can help you to save time. So it just takes more convincing. It's fully doable. It's just a different process, I would say.
It tends to be the majority of the people who come to you will be marketing directors or marketing people rather than sales people.
No, well, that varies a lot, but we have a lot of marketing people coming to us, but I would say that sales-related services, CRM services, and enablement services like that is growing faster than the marketing side of it. So, which is also has to do with the way HubSpot has evolved and become a full platform. So, of course, good for everyone.
Okay, thank you.
You want to see Mark run?
So, with achieving so much, what's the dream for you now? What's something that you haven't achieved yet, but you're looking forward and really inspires you to do what you do now? Is there one? And if it is, what is it?
When we started the second HubSpot agency that I was co-founding back in Norway, everyone was laughing at us because we were 7 women at that time, and we said, we're going to be the fastest to diamond, which was the tiering at the point in HubSpot. And we're going to be the quickest ever. Everyone laughed at us. We did that in less than a year. We were the fastest agency to do that. Then the next thing we said, like, it's world domination. We're going to be the best. We're going to be the go-to partner for and deliver awesome services to clients around the world. So that's still my goal. And I think we're heading in the right direction. We are among the top HubSpot partners out there, and the largest at the moment. So it's going well, I would say. There's no plan B.
Thank you everyone for your questions. Please give a huge round